Hi, I'm Commander Chris Hatfield, astronaut.
Anybody who thinks the sky's the limit is not thinking very clearly. The sky is incredibly thin. I've been above the sky.
I've been above the sky. I've been above the sky.
And almost everything that exists lies beyond the sky.
I've been above the sky.
When you come in from a spacewalk, you're surrounded by the emptiness of space. It's sort of like the opposite of air. There's nothing there at all. When you quickly repressurize the hatch and you open up the hatch and you smell, what is that lingering smell from a place that used to be exposed to space? The smell in there is a little bit like that trace of a smell of gunpowder or burnt steak, or sort of like brimstone, like a witch has just been there. It's a cool, lingering trace of a smell. I think what it really is, brimstone, like sort of that metallic gunpowder-fired smell, that like a witch has just been there. In truth, it smells a little bit like a witch has just been there. It smells a little bit like a burnt steak. Brimstone, it smells a little bit like a burnt steak. Brimstone, like a witch has just been there. It's
a witch has just been there. It's a witch has just been there. It's a witch has just been there.
Brimstone.
That's true.
The first parable. When the community of the righteous appears, and the sinners are judged for their sins and are driven from the face of the dry ground. And when the righteous one appears in front of the chosen righteous, whose works are weighed by the Lord of spirits, and when light appears to the righteous and chosen who dwell on the dry ground, where will be the dwelling of the sinners? And where will be the resting place of those who denied the Lord of spirits? It would have been better for them if they had not been born. And this is the second parable, about those who deny the name of the dwelling of the holy ones and of the Lord of spirits. They will not ascend into heaven, nor will they come upon the earth. Such will be the lot of the sinners who deny the name of the Lord of spirits, who will thus be kept for the day of affliction and distress. On that day the chosen one will sit on the throne of glory and will choose their works. And their resting places will be without number, and their spirits within them will grow strong when they see my chosen one, and those who appeal to my holy and glorious name. And on that day I will cause my chosen one to dwell among them, and I will transform heaven and make it an eternal blessing and light. And I will transform the dry ground and make it a blessing, and I will cause my chosen ones to dwell upon it. But those who commit sin and evil will not tread upon it. For I have seen and have satisfied with peace my righteous ones, and have placed them in front of me. But for the sinners my judgment draws near, so that I may destroy them from the face of the earth. And there I saw one who had a head of days, and his head was white like wool. And with him there was another whose face had the appearance of a man, and his face was full of grace like one of the holy angels. And I asked one of the holy angels who went with me and showed me all the secrets about that Son of Man, who he was, and from where he was, and why he went with the head of days. And he answered me, and said to me, This is the Son of Man who has righteousness, and with whom righteousness dwells. He will reveal all the treasures of that which is secret, for the Lord of spirits has chosen him. And through uprightness his lot has surpassed all others, in front of the Lord of spirits forever. And this Son of Man, who you have seen, will rouse the kings and the powerful from their resting places, and the strong from their thrones, and will loose the reins of the strong, and will break the teeth of the sinners. And he will cast down the kings from their thrones and from their kingdoms, for they do not exalt him, and do not praise him, and do not humbly acknowledge from where their kingdom was given to them. And he will cast down the faces of the strong, and shame will fill them, and darkness will be their dwelling. 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 Darkness will be their dwelling.
You've probably heard that space has a smell, maybe like burnt steak or some type of barbecue. That's true. When you come in from a spacewalk, you're surrounded by the emptiness of space. It's sort of like the opposite of air. There's nothing there at all. When you quickly repressurize the hatch and you open up the hatch and you smell, what is that lingering smell from a place that used to be exposed to space? The smell in there is a little bit like that trace of a smell of gunpowder or burnt steak, or to me it's sort of like brimstone, like a witch has just been there. It's sort of that metallic gunpowder-fired smell. That's where the smell's coming from. Maybe it's not even coming from space. It's just sort of coming from space's effect on our ship. Yeah, in truth, it smells a little bit like a burnt steak.
And I went towards the south, and it was burning day and night, where there were 7 mountains of precious stones, 3 towards the east and 3 towards the south. and those towards the east were of colored stone, and one was of pearl, and one was of healing stone, and those towards the south of red stone. And the middle one reached to heaven, like the throne of the Lord, of Stebium, and the top of the throne was of sapphire. And I saw a burning fire in what was in all the mountains, and I saw a place there beyond the great earth. There the waters gathered together. And I saw a deep chasm of the earth, with pillars of heavenly fire, and I saw among them fiery pillars of heaven, which were falling, and as regards both height and depth they were immeasurable. And beyond this chasm I saw a place, and it had neither the sky above it, nor the foundation of earth below it. There was no water on it, and no birds, but it was a desert place. And a terrible thing I saw there, 7 stars, like great burning mountains.
And a terrible thing I saw there, 7 stars, like great burning mountains. And like a spirit questioning me, the angel said, "This is the place of the end of heaven and earth. This is the prison for the stars of heaven and the host of heaven. And the stars which roll over the fire, these are the ones which transgressed the command of the Lord from the beginning of their rising, because they did not come out at their proper times. And he was angry with them, and bound them until the time of the consummation of their sin, in the year of mystery." And Uriel said to me, "The spirits of the angels who were promiscuous with women will stand here, and they, assuming many forms, made men unclean, and will lead men astray so that they sacrifice to demons as gods. And they will stand there until the great judgment, on which they will be judged, so that an end will be made of them,